Hi, I'm Tom O'Leary, Director of Instruction for the Professional Swing Trainer. Now that you've got your swing trainer, and hopefully it's put together okay, the first thing I want to do is go over a couple of things as starting off using the trainer, what I would like you to do. The main focus of this machine is to train and teach you folks the proper swing path, the feel of the swing, and to teach your muscles to learn that proper golf swing. Now, the way we go about that is training and teaching muscle memory. There's 2 exercise cords that come with your unit. The main focus of the machine is the proper swing plane. The ring is your swing plane. Now, on this machine, you can adjust the plane to use different clubs in your bag, because from a wedge to a driver, your swing plane changes. You're going to have one plane for your short irons, one plane for your medium-long irons, and a third plane for your woods. Now, as far as adjusting the swing plane, it is very easy to do. There's 4 adjustments. You have 2 top adjustments and you have 2 bottom adjustments. Everybody has their own swing plane. Golfers have different builds, different height ranges. For instance, an individual, myself being 5'11", with a 5-iron, I have a certain swing plane. Now, another individual at 5'11" may be skinnier than me, longer arms, swing more upright, maybe more broad-chested, bigger, have a flatter swing plane. So we give you a settings chart in your paperwork that tells you, based on your height, what club you want to get on there with. That gives you our suggested settings. Now, those are just suggested settings. Everybody has their own swing. The key is to make your swing consistent. So if what we suggest to you in our settings chart feels off to you, if it feels too upright or it feels too flat, go ahead and adjust it a little bit, find a place where you feel comfortable, and work from there. Now, if we give you a suggested setting for a 5-iron, say for instance the 5th hole or 6th hole at the top, and it feels too flat for you and you want to bring it a little upright, maybe 1 notch. Now, when you get on with one of your short irons or when you get on there with a wood, you also want to compensate and make sure that you make that same adjustment so that you are consistent in that slightly more upright swing plane. Now, as far as adjusting the plane, very easy to do. Take the pins out of the holes as I just showed, either bring the top to a more upright or flatter position and put the pins in a different hole. It takes about 5 seconds to change the swing plane from one plane to the next. Now, with this plane, we have an opening here. And the reason for this opening is basically 2 things. One, we feel that if an individual comes all the way back to this point on his backswing, you are overswinging, overextending yourself, and that's where most folks have a tendency to lose control of the golf swing. Now, as I alluded to earlier, the exercise cords that come with this machine, their main focus and function is to train and teach the specific muscles you use at different stages of your swing to learn the proper swing and to learn the proper positions to be in. But these cords, by putting resistance against your backswing and follow-through, are also going to do a lot of other things. One being, in your backswing, it's really not going to allow the individual to overswing. It puts enough tension to where it doesn't allow you to get back to where you can come to that point, which is good. It's going to train and teach your muscles to stop at a certain position of your backswing. Also, another reason that we did this is because we feel that the follow-through is on a little more upright path than your backswing. When you're coming back to this stage of your swing and you're on proper plane, well, when a golfer comes through on the follow-through, his release is up normally over his left shoulder. Therefore, it is not as flat as his backswing. This adjustment over here allows us to flatten or more upright the follow-through depending on what club you're using. But it allows us to get the follow-through to where it's on a little bit more of an upright path, a little bit more on target line towards the pin. So, for instance, my settings here with a 5-iron. Now, the bottom adjustments, you have one bottom left and one bottom right also. The bottom adjustments are geared towards the balance point of your golf club. Whatever club an individual wants to get onto this machine with, if they were to take it and balance it in their finger, it's called the balance point of that shaft. Now, when you're using it, by sewing your club to the ground, you want the bottom of the ring to come out to meet that shaft. So with a 5-iron, most people are going to have it in the second hole. I'm using a 5-iron here. That's the main club you want to start off with when starting to use and practice with the trainer, because it's the medium length club in your bag. Once you get used to the 5-iron, you can then deviate and go to your short irons or your woods, depending on which club you really feel you have a more problem with, though you need to use all your clubs to learn all your different swing planes. With a short iron, it's going to be in the first hole. With a medium iron, it's going to be in the second hole. And with a long iron and woods, it'll be in the third hole, maybe a fourth hole if you have an extended driver. So with me using a 5-iron, I have the pin in the second hole on the bottom on both sides, the pin in the 6th hole on the top right, and the pin in the 7th hole on the top left, giving me that little slightly more upright follow-through on target line. Now, as you start to begin to use the PST, the professional swing trainer, the first thing I want to address is stance and posture. So many golfers, one of their biggest problems that they have is improper alignment. Some golfers, individuals, are left-eye dominant. Some golfers are right-eye dominant. So many golfers that I see, whether it's on the practice range or on the golf course, and I ask them where their target line is, especially in the driving range, because it's very hard to pick out a target line a lot of times on a driving range. But when they're out on the range or on the golf course, one of the biggest problems most golfers have in alignment is they're either aimed left or right of target line, even though they think they are aimed right at the target. And with this machine here, one of the good things about it is when you set up in the address position, with your stance, you can see your feet down below you, and it's very easy to tell if a left or right foot is a little bit closer than the other. Therefore, it's very easy to tell if you've got an open or closed stance. So it's very easy to get in and set up square towards your target line. And once you get used to this, when you go to the golf course, you're going to see, and it may feel uncomfortable at first when you step up to the ball and you've been working with this machine, you're going to go, boy, maybe that feels a little bit like I'm over to the left or over to the right, but in all actuality, you've been doing it wrong before, and this is going to get you square towards your target line. Now, secondly, you always want to square your club towards your target and sole your club to the ground. Sole your club to the ground, bring it back to where the shaft meets the ring, and let it rest lightly against that. That's setting the pitch for your stance. Once you do that, you step up, making sure both toes are even in distance from the ring, and take your normal address position. Now, the object when swinging on the machine is to let the club glide lightly right along the ring, keeping the club in contact with the ring throughout the whole swing. By doing that, you're staying on proper target line. Now, one thing you always want to make sure you do, and a couple of basic exercises which I'll explain here shortly, you always want to make sure that the toe of the club is up at halfway up your backswing and up at halfway up your follow-through, getting the proper hand rotation and release of the right hand through impact point. That's so important, and one of the great things about this machine is it really promotes and teaches the golfer how to get that proper release. So many beginning golfers, one of the biggest things, the hardest things for an instructor to teach them is how to get the proper release of the right hand and roll through impact point. But on this machine here, just by taking 2 fingers on the club, you can see that the toe goes up and the toe closes automatically. It really promotes the proper feel of the release and where you should be. Now, as you start swinging on the machine the first couple of days, the first thing I want you to do is just to get used to the feel of the ring, making your club stay on that ring, and getting used to that feel throughout the whole swing. I usually have my students the first couple of times on there take half swings back and forth, making sure that club is keeping in contact with the ring. Once they get used to that feeling, go a little bit further back, a little bit further through, until before you know it, you'll be swinging back and forth, and the club will be staying in contact with the ring throughout the whole swing. Now, what that is going to do for an individual, one, is give you the feel of your swing plane and where you should be throughout the swing. And feel is so important to a golfer. That's one thing I cannot teach an individual. Out on the lesson tee, if a golfer is coming off plane, I can only stop that individual and say, this is where you are, this is where you should be. But until that golfer can actually feel what I'm trying to tell him, it's very hard for him to repeat that, especially when I'm not there. And on this machine, by keeping your club in contact with the ring, it's giving you the feel of where you should be every time. Now, if your club has a tendency to come off the ring, and a lot of times individuals, the main two places where they're going to really feel this problem or see this problem in the beginning of using this machine is at takeaway. A lot of people have a tendency to want to take the club out, get used to taking that takeaway and keeping that club right on that ring. And secondly, a second spot is the transition from the backswing to the downswing. A lot of people get up to the top of their swing and they have a tendency to what they call cast or want to come over the top. Now, if you're swinging on the machine the first couple of days you have it, and you're getting to that top position and your club's coming off the ring, just try to get used to keeping it on that ring and starting that downswing with the proper hip rotation, and everything else comes in behind it. Now, as I was saying earlier, the exercise chords are the main focus of this machine. These training chords are going to train and teach your muscles to learn the proper swing. They're going to force your body to get the proper body movements throughout the swing, and they are going to help stretch out and strengthen the muscles that you use in the golf swing. Besides just training and teaching muscle memory, they're going to help you get added distance on your swing with your clubs also. Usually in about a 30 to 45 day time, you'll see your driver going about 20 to 30 yards further, because this machine is strengthening the muscles that you use in the swing, and it's forcing you to get your body involved in the swing in the proper ways. The cord to your left for a right-handed golfer works the backswing. The cord to your right works the follow-through. Now, for a left-handed golfer, it'd be just the opposite. The right cord will work the backswing, the left swing will work the follow-through, the left strap. Now, these chords, we're going to have you do some exercises, stopping at different stages of your swing and holding it there to train and teach the specific muscles that you're using at that stage of your swing to learn that proper position. Because at different stages of your golf swing, you use different muscles. Takeaway is mostly arm, left arm. Halfway to three-quarters, upper chest and shoulder. Very top of your backswing is lower stomach and back muscles. Same thing on the follow-through. Your backside is using left side muscles. Your follow-through is using right side muscles. Now, the three exercises I'm going to have you do when using this backswing cord. First off, let me show you the proper way to put it in your hand. You got the cord, you slide your hand straight in, then turn your hand sideways and grip the golf club. Now, three exercises I'm going to have you do with the backswing cord. The first one is to take the cord halfway up your backswing, stop, and hold it there. Now, as I said before, make sure that the toe of the club is pointing up so you're getting the proper wrist rotation. Once you get it there, stop and hold it. Now, you men or stronger individuals, what I usually recommend is to take your right hand off and hold it there. And you can see it's pulling against all the muscles on the left side of my arm and upper chest area. It's also pulling against the muscles down my left leg, forcing me to get that proper weight shift over to the right side. Now, hold it there for about 5 seconds. Now, as you do these exercises, as you go along, you may build up to 10 seconds, maybe even 15 seconds. But at the beginning, always start off light and work your way up. So the first exercise I told you is right there, stopping and holding it for 10 seconds. Second exercise I'm going to have you do is going to the three-quarter position. Right to there, hands at shoulder height. Now, once again, when you're using these exercise chords, it is very vital to make sure that your hands are keeping even with the ring. You don't want your hands to be getting back behind the ring or out in front of the ring. That's taking your club face off target line. So as you do these exercises, always reference over and make sure your hands are even with the ring. Put your head back down to where the ball would be to give you that natural feeling. Hold it there for 5 seconds and then release through. The third exercise is going to the very top. Making sure your hands are even with the ring. Put your head back down. Now, these exercise chords, as I said, different parts of your swing are using different muscles, but also they're doing other things also. One is they're going to force you to get proper weight shift in the lower body. A lot of golfers have a tendency to what they call reverse pivot, meaning on your backswing where your weight should be on your right foot, you have a tendency to reverse pivot and leave your weight on your left foot. What that's going to do is going to it's going to lead to very inconsistent ball striking, because when you leave your weight on your left foot, when you swing through, it goes to your back foot, and you have a tendency to hit behind the ball or lift up and top the ball quite a bit. But these chords, when you get to the halfway or three-quarter position in the very top of your swing, if your weight is not on your right foot where it should be on the backswing, and you try to stop and hold it there, it's going to pull you off balance. Let me illustrate that for you. You always want to get good weight distribution in the lower body, balance. You want to be balanced throughout the whole swing, but you want to get that weight to the right foot on the backswing and to the left foot on the follow-through. So when you go to the 3/4 position of the backswing and you try to hold it there, if your weight's on your left foot, it's going to pull you right off balance, telling you right away that you're not getting proper weight distribution. So in order to be able to hold that there for 10 seconds, the weight has got to be on the right foot where it should be. So it's forcing you to get proper weight shift. At the very top of your swing, same thing. If your weight's on your left foot, it's going to pull you right off balance. So the only way you can get up there and hold it in the proper position to train and teach those muscles is to have that weight where it should be. Now, secondly, these cords are going to force you to get a proper hip and shoulder turn in the upper body. If you have a tendency to swing with just your arms and not get a good upper body hip and shoulder turn, you're not going to be able to stretch this cord out enough to finish your backswing. Let me illustrate that to you. Now, just by getting arm swing, I can't finish my backswing. The tension in that cord is very tight. So in order to get a proper hip and shoulder turn to finish your swing, it's going to force you to do that. Right there. Force you to get that proper hip and shoulder turn, force you to get that proper weight shift, and now it's working all the muscles from my left arm to my shoulder to my side to my hips, back, stomach, all the way through. Now each of these 3 exercises, I want you to start off doing 5 of those a day, holding it for 5 seconds each. As you build up and gradually get those muscles a little bit stronger, you can go to 10 times a day for 10 seconds and then 10 times a day for about 15 seconds. These cords are vital. These cords are what are going to train and teach your muscles to learn the proper swing, the proper positions to be in. And after about 4 or 5 weeks, that muscle memory forms. And when you step out, that swing is going to follow you right to the golf course every time. Proper weight shift, proper hip and shoulder turn, all the way through. Now this cord here works the follow through the same way. What I'm going to have you do is take about an exaggerated 3/4 half speed backswing, okay, and then come to the halfway position of your follow through and hold it there. Once again, making sure the toe of that club is up. You may want to take that left hand off to get those muscles there working to learn that right side. That's the proper position you want to be in. Getting that proper release of the right foot so that you can get that hips released to aim towards your target line. Second exercise, the 3/4 position. Right before, as you saw, my club almost came off over. Stop it right before the cut in the ring. And the third exercise is the finish. Make sure when you finish, you stretch that cord out. Good finish. Everything's aiming right down towards the target line. Now, for you golfers who do have a tendency to come across the ball, which is a lot of golfers out there, at the top of your backswing, you have a tendency what they call cast or want to come over the top. One exercise that you really want to work on when you get to the top of your swing and you stop and you're holding the club there, okay? Do that for 10 seconds and then start your hip turn down and stop and hold it there for about 10 seconds. Teaching those muscles to learn that once you're to the top of your swing, you don't want to have that first move coming out over the top. You want to have that first move coming back inside, and it's all done by starting your downswing with your hips. Don't start it with your arms or hands. Start it with your hips. So you get to the very top, hold it, and start down with your hips, and hold it right there. That's going to teach those muscles to start back down on that inside path, and that tendency to want to come over the top in about 2 to 3 weeks will be gone. Get to the very top of your swing, and start down. And then release. So the exercise cords are very vital. The main focus of the machine, as I said earlier, is swing plane. The swing plane is where most golfers have their biggest problem with consistency. But these exercise cords are going to train and teach your muscles to learn the proper swing, the proper positions to be in. They're going to force you to get your body involved properly where you're getting proper leg shift and a proper leg drive through impact point. You're getting a proper hip and shoulder turn to get that proper extension on your backswing to create a little more club head speed and get that proper finish through, and your weight back to your left foot. So they're forcing proper weight shift in the lower body. They're forcing a proper hip and shoulder turn in the upper body, and they're training and teaching your muscles to learn that swing. Now, when you're not using the exercise cords, on occasion, I do advocate individuals to try to hit a golf ball from this machine. Now, the main focus of this machine is not to hit golf balls from it, but so many of you amateur golfers have a tendency to take a beautiful practice swing when you're on the tee, but as soon as a ball is put down in front of you, everything changes. So from that standpoint, the psychology of it, to get used to taking that same consistent swing over and over again and making contact with the golf ball, the natural feeling of having a ball down in front of you, I do advocate on occasion to try to hit balls from the machine. Now, if you're in a setup in a backyard where you don't have an area to hit golf balls, if you don't have a net, you can put a plastic wiffle ball down, and it's just as effective as hitting a regular golf ball. Don't worry about the flight pattern of the ball. Just get used to taking that same consistent swing over and over again and making contact with the golf ball. And by doing that, when you get out on the golf course and that golf ball is put down in front of you, that reflex motion will take over, and that swing will become automatic every time without thinking about it. And that's the whole key to playing good golf, is to have a consistent, repeating golf swing. The only way you get consistency is through repetition. But that repetition has got to be done the same every time, and it's got to be done correct, or you're not helping yourself. And so many golfers that go to the driving range and they come to me and they go, I practice all the time, but I'm not getting any better. Well, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And that's why this machine is so effective, is one, it forces the golfer to fundamentally take the same correct swing every time, staying on proper plane. All the body fundamentals are correct. Secondly, it's training and teaching your muscles to learn that. The exercise cords are accelerating the learning process in your muscles. You can build muscle memory just through swinging the golf club. You can build muscle memory just swinging on this machine back and forth. But by putting tension against your swing, your backswing and follow through, those muscles are progressing about 3 or 4 times faster than by just swinging the golf club. So what I tell folks, that 15 minutes of using this machine is the equality of going to a driving range and hitting golf balls for an hour, but doing it perfect every time, because the machine is forcing you to do it the same every time. Now, when you're not using the exercise cords, a couple of things that this machine is good for. One, there's not a better piece of equipment on the market, in my opinion, to help timing and tempo. And timing and tempo is so important to a golfer. No matter how good of a swing you have, if your timing is slightly off, you're not going to get the results that you want. If your tempo, your rhythm's off, you're not going to get the results that you want. And one of the great things about the swing trainer is it allows a golfer to physically listen to your swing speed. You know, there's all kind of digital things that you can put on the ground that when your club head comes by, it'll register the club head speed. But that doesn't necessarily help a golfer. It may help a club fitter determine what type shaft you should have on your club, but it doesn't help you become a better golfer. And so many golfers, I mean, they get these machines and they put them down in front of them, and it's kind of like a contest of who can swing the hardest. And that's not going to make you a better golfer at all. But on this machine here, when your club is riding along the ring, you can hear it. It's the only piece of equipment that I know of that allows a golfer to physically listen to his swing speed. So once you're done doing that initial 10 or 15 minutes of exercising and building the muscles up, the next thing I want you to go on to is the timing and tempo aspect. Get on the machine for about 5 to 7 minutes and just swing. First off, just back and forth. Hear your backswing. Hear yourself accelerate down through impact point. Now I want you to take about 15 to 20 swings, stopping as you would on a golf course, as if there was a ball down in front of you. Take the address position, and then hear your backswing and hear yourself accelerate through, and try to listen and make a count out of it. 1001, boom. 1001, boom. You can actually hear your swing speed. So one of the great things about it is it allows a golfer to get into a good rhythm, to try to take about 20 swings or more and repeat the same sound, the length of that sound, over and over again. What that's going to do, it's going to get you into a great tempo, a good rhythm. When you get on the golf course, it's so important to have every swing speed the same. Second thing is the timing aspect. It's one of the greatest things out there. From the top of your backswing, down to impact point to be able to hear your swing so that you can get your hands and hips through impact point at the same time. So your hands aren't ahead of your body or your hips aren't overly ahead of your hands. As you come down through impact point, get set up at the top of your swing as you should be, and as you come down the impact point, being able to hear your swing, it helps tremendously to get the hips and hands to impact point at the same time. So start in the address position, go up, and back through. And listen to that downswing as you come through so that your hands and hips are coming through at the same time. By being able to listen to your swing speed, it's going to help you get into a good rhythm. It's going to help you get into a good timing and tempo, which is going to carry over to the golf course. Now, the third thing that I want to address with this machine here is your practice habits. When you're on the machine, always take your practice seriously. It doesn't do any good to go out if you're not thinking about your golf. And when you're utilizing this machine, one of the good things about it before you go to the golf course is you can get on the machine, and in lieu of going to the golf course and beating golf balls around, hitting a bucket of balls, which doesn't benefit most people, because it doesn't do any good to practice incorrectly. To go to the golf course and hit balls with faults and flaws and inconsistencies in your swing, the only thing you're doing is practicing bad habits. And so many golfers do that, and that doesn't benefit them at all. So before you go to the golf course, it's really good, once that muscle memory's been built up and you're using the machine, that swing's got pretty consistent, to get on there and use these exercise chords to loosen up as a loosening up tool before you go play. There's nothing better out there. To get on here, get each chord in each hand, but the only time I usually use both chords, and get on there and take that backswing and feel that stretch in the back. Lower back muscles all the way down your legs, your hamstrings, your thighs. You can really feel that stretch on the left side of your backswing. Get all those muscles nice and loose before you go to the golf course. Hold it up there, swing through, hold it there. Do that for about 5 to 7 minutes before you go play, and you'll be amazed at how loose you are when you get to the course and step up on the first tee. Always try to stretch both chords out on the finish. When you finish, get that right cord wrapped around you so it's stretching the lower back muscles, and get that left cord as you come through finish to make sure you finish the swing. If that cord is left loose, that means you have not finished your swing correctly. When you finish your swing correctly, both cords are going to be stretched out with tension on both of them. Getting that good drive, making sure your stomach, your hips, and everything are geared right towards the target line. Now, as I was explaining to you, with different clubs you have a different swing plane. As demonstrated down here, I have a 9-iron and a 5-iron. Both clubs are sold flatly to the ground, and as you can see as you pull away, as it goes up the shaft, that there is a different pitch. Though slight as it may be, there's a different pitch. So you have to compensate for that. When you're practicing on the machine with different clubs, you're going to have a different swing plane. The shorter the club, the more upright the plane. The longer the club, the flatter the plane gets. So when you're practicing on the machine, make sure that you, one, check the settings chart out and set the plane correctly for that club that you want to get on there with. Don't practice with a 5-iron and a 9-iron on the same plane. That's going to be very unbeneficial to you. It's going to create a lot of bad habits. So when you change from a short iron to a medium iron or a medium iron to a wood, you have to adjust the plane also. Now, as I was telling you earlier, you always want to make sure that your hands are even and on plane with the golf swing. When your club is riding up and down the ring, the shaft of your club is on plane if it's touching the ring, which is ideally what you want. Now, as you're going up in your swing, you do not want your hands to be out in front. That's called laying off. As you can see that position, the club head is laid off to the back. Or you don't want your hands to be out here. It's going to force the club head out in front. You want to keep everything on target line. If the shaft of your club is touching the ring, you want to make sure your hands are even with the ring from the halfway position to the very top of your swing. Make sure those hands are even. So, as I was demonstrating earlier, with the exercise chords, the exercises that you're going to do, the 3 exercises, from this side angle here, I'm going to show you what I mean. Halfway position, stop and hold it. Making sure the toe of your club is up, not hooded, and your hands are even with the ring, not behind or out in front. So an individual, the good thing about using these exercise cords is if you are doing something wrong, you can correct it, make sure that it's right, and then hold it there to teach the muscles to learn that proper position. So if you get to a certain position and you stop and you hold it there and your hands are behind it, make sure they're even, get them back in the right position, put your head back down looking towards the ball and hold it there. 5 seconds. Do that exercise 10 times a day. Once you get a little bit stronger with your arms, you can do it for 10 seconds and then 15 seconds. The second exercise on the backswing, right to there, shoulder height. Making sure your hands aren't behind or out in front. If they are, when you get to that position, get them in line, put your head back down, stop and hold it there. Do that exercise 10 times a day, making sure your hands are even with the ring. The final one is the very top of the swing. Making sure your hands are blocked by the ring. If they're out in front or behind, which most people have a tendency to get them back behind there, even them up, stop and hold it there, put your head back down like you're looking at the ball, and then release. Those are the 3 exercises on the backswing. It's very vital that you make sure that the shaft of your club is touching the ring when you stop at each exercise, and make sure that your hands are even with the ring so that everything is on target line. And the 3 exercises again on the follow through, you want to make sure that your hands are even with the ring. Take that slightly 3/4 backswing. Make sure your hands are even with the ring. Put your head back down. Stop and hold it there. The second exercise, right to the very top before the ring ends. Stop and hold it there, making sure your hands are not back or front of the ring. As you can see from this angle, we have the follow-through path on a slightly more upright path than the backswing path. That's the normal, natural follow-through a golfer should have. That's why we split the ring, so that you can get a proper release and come back on your follow-through and finish at the correct position. And that final exercise, take that backswing, come through and finish. Holding that cord there, making sure everything is toward your target line, forcing you to get that weight on your left foot, right toe, everything's done correctly. These cords, as I said earlier, are putting tension against your backswing and follow-through. Therefore, they're forcing you to get a proper weight shift on the backswing to your right foot, on the follow-through to your left foot, forcing you to get a proper hip and shoulder turn, 90-degree on your backswing, belly button aiming towards your target on your follow-through, and they're going to help strengthen and train those muscles to learn all those proper positions. Okay, now for you folks who got a 2-ring model, the different rings allowing different height groups to use it. Now remember, we have 3 size rings: a junior ring, which fits anyone from 4 feet tall to 5 feet tall, the medium-sized ring, which fits anyone from 5 feet tall to 5'11", and this here is the large ring, which fits anyone 5'11" up to about 6'8". Now with our ring setup, you can attach a medium ring to a large ring or a junior ring to a medium ring. Now let me show you. There's been a lot of questions. We have a lot of folks that call and ask. The illustrations aren't quite that clear on how to connect the second ring to the first ring. First off, with each machine that you get, you will have these 2 what we call connecting arms, upper extension connecting arms. Now in connecting these, you have a long end and you have a short end, okay? The upper extension, the piece that has the holes in it, there's about a 2-inch area between the last hole and the cup link at the top. Now what you're going to do with these is you're going to take the short end clamps that screw on each end, and you're going to connect it right to this extension and butt it up tight against it, aiming to the inside. Same thing on the other side. Take that clamp, butt it up against that cup link. Now these arms here swivel, okay? Now what a lot of our customers do and what we do here, and if you want to go to the trouble, in the back here where they clamp on, you can put a screw in to make them a permanent piece on this ring. But when you get done taking the ring off and these arms are sticking out here, you can just take these arms, swivel them down, and the person who's using the tall ring can then go ahead and start using this ring. Now let me show you how to connect the smaller ring to the larger ring. When you're putting together the rings, first off, when assembling the machine, make sure you always put the rings together on a flat surface. That way the seams will go together tightly and there will be no rough edges on the seams. Now when connecting or putting the smaller of the two rings together, you're going to have two what we call sets of C-clamps here, short standoffs, which there's going to be holes where you can screw them in and connect them. Now, when attaching the second ring to the smaller ring, these two clamps on this smaller ring are where they're going to attach onto the ring at the bottom. Each ring has a seam in the very middle on the bottom. What you're going to do, and let me have to turn around here, is you're going to get the two seams aligned up together, pick it up, and just push it, snap it on. Well, that's not correct there. Here we go. Okay. Push it, push it. Now that's where the rings attach on the bottom, and then you take these standoffs here and bring them up and align the clamp to match the angle of the ring, and that's where they will attach onto the top. So you're going to have the two short standoffs aiming towards each other to the inside, coming out and connecting at the very top. So now the smaller of the two people, or whoever's using the smaller ring, gets on and swings on the smaller ring. Then when the taller person wants to use it, you just take that off, swivel that arm down, take this off, swivel this arm down, pop it off, and that's it. Now, one other little hint that I may want to give folks as far as setup of the machine, in the directions of putting the machine together, it instructs you to put sand in the base piping of the unit in order to weight it down so that when you're using the exercise cords, these cords are putting tension against your swing. And when you take your backswing, a lot of times the machine will move. By putting sand in the base piping here, that'll put enough weight on the machine to where it will not move. Now, if you're in a situation where you're up north in a garage area over the winter months, where you're going to be taking the machine down and putting it back together on occasion, where you don't have an area to leave it up all the time, what we do here is we have about a 5-pound sandbag, which you just lay over the back base of the machine. That way, it mobilizes the machine won't move at all. If you want to take the machine apart on a partial basis, by taking these 4 pins where you adjust the swing plane of the machine, you take the 4 pins off at each juncture. This ring will disengage from the base. You can take your ring. Without the ring here, the 2 top legs will collapse right down to the ground with the bottom legs. You take your base and you take your ring, and you can hang it on a wall in your garage. We use bicycle hooks. It takes about 1.5 minutes to take apart and 1.5 minutes to put back together again. But if you're going to do that, you're not going to want to be dumping sand out and putting sand back in all the time. So we just use about a 10-pound sandbag, lay it over the back base. That way, when you're using it, the machine doesn't move. When you want to take it apart, you just take the sandbag off. There's no mess. Very easy to do. Before I leave you, one other thing I want to address to you folks. We have what's called a head and hand stabilizer. It's an optional attachment that we offer to you folks. And it's very helpful to individuals, especially beginning golfers, but to any individual who feels that they have a problem coming off the ball, swaying too much side to side as they swing the golf club, or lifting up and down. And this piece of equipment is designed to force the golfer in their swing when they go back, to train them to keep their head still so that they are turning around their spine, pivoting around the spine. A lot of golfers have a tendency to want to sway off the ball and sway back through, and by doing that, it's going to make for very inconsistent ball striking. You'll hit behind it, you'll top it sometimes, and individuals also have a tendency when they swing to want to lift up, especially women because of physical body build. A lot of women have a tendency because of breast to want to have to lift up and swing underneath, or to swing too much around. Therefore, they have too much head to head, head side to side, or lifting up and down. Now this piece right here, the pole part of it is going to align up with the middle of your forehead, right down your spine angle, and it is designed to force the golfer to stay properly in the swing, therefore not coming out of it, to pivot around their spine rather than to sway side to side. There's a piece that comes off of it here which is geared towards hand position, forcing a golfer to come back through impact point with his hands on plane so that his club face is coming back square towards his target. It's going to let you know if you're coming inside out with an open or outside in with a closed face, which is going to give the golfer a slice or a draw spin on the ball. Now, let me show you very quickly here how this works. What you want to do as you get yourself addressed squarely inside the trainer, you want to set this out outside the machine, and this pole here swivels back and forth, okay? Now see right there, you want to get it to the proper angle of the plane, okay? As you can see, this right here is the same angle as this plane is right here. Now, as you sole your club to the ground, bring it back to rest against the ring in the address position, and you take your proper stance, you're going to rest this pole lightly against your forehead. Now, the object, without using the hand part right now, is to take a golf swing, backswing, downswing, and follow through, and keep this pole against your head, forcing you to rotate around your spine to get a proper hip and shoulder turn rather than to sway back and forth. So the object, and it may be a little uncomfortable at first, but it takes a while to get used to, but believe me, once you do, and you step outside the machine with this pole not there, you'll be amazed at the proper hip and shoulder turn you'll get and the proper leg drive because of it. Just take your swing, and you may want to start off with about a half-speed swing at first, making sure that club at the top of your swing is on the left. Your head's going to move slightly. It's going to move over towards the left center of your forehead or the top ball of your head. Then as you swing through, it's going to come over to the right side. Now, the old theory years ago was that the head didn't move at all. But through modern camera work, stop action pictures, it's known now that the head does slightly move, inch and a half on the backswing, and there again on the follow through. But if this comes off to your left shoulder on your backswing or your right shoulder on your follow through, that's too much side to side movement, and that's letting you know right away that you're swaying too much, and this will help correct that. Now, this piece right here, the main focus of this piece right here is hand position, okay? When you're in the address position, this piece right here can move up and down depending on the height of the golfer that's going to use it. So when you bring that pole forward and get the pole centered correctly, you get it to hand height. The foam rubber piece is telescopic, moves in and out. It's not going to hurt you when you swing through if your hands hit it. And what you do in the address position is you set it about an inch from your hands. Once you get a little better, you can bring it in a little bit closer. But the object, as you come through, making sure that pole is against your head, is not to hit that piece of foam. Now, if you do hit the piece of foam rubber, that's going to be telling you that either one, your hands are coming on you're getting your hands back too far in your backswing. They're not even with the ring as I told you they should be. So if your hands are coming too far back, you're going to come on a natural inside-out path and come across the line. Or if you're at the top of your swing, if you're getting your hands out in front of the ring and not on plane, you're going to have that's a natural tendency to want to swing outside in. So as you come down through, your hands are going to hit that piece of foam rubber because they're coming outside in, or they're going to hit it because your hands are coming inside out. So if your hands come through without hitting it, that's just letting you know that your hands are coming back through, therefore your club face is coming back square towards your target. Now, when I have a golfer who has a tendency to want to lift his head up or come up off the ball, I'll take that piece and put it right on the top of his head so that if he does have a tendency to want to lift, it stops him. So when he gets into his swing, he gets in the adjust position, he swings, it's going to force him to stay down into the proper posture position he wants to be in. As soon as he has that tendency to want to come and lift up, it stops him. It doesn't allow him to want to lift up. So this piece of equipment is very beneficial, as I said, especially to beginning high handicap golfers. We have a lot of tour players that use this piece right here for the hand position, that want to keep their hands in proper position through ball impact, striking point. So if you feel this is something that you may want to take advantage of, if you didn't get it with your initial package, please give us a call and we'll be glad to get one out to you very quickly. It's very beneficial to a golfer and can help straighten out a lot of problems in your golf swing. Now, one thing I want to tell you folks, if you ever have any questions at all, if you're not sure of something, whether it's putting the machine together, use of it, getting the proper swing plane for yourself, don't hesitate to call us. Between myself, a couple of my assistants, there's somebody always there. Now, we're Eastern Standard Time in Florida. Eastern Time, there's usually somebody in the office between 8:30 in the morning till 9 to 10 o'clock in the evening. So if at any time you folks have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to call us. Also, we do offer a video analysis program. And our video program has become quite popular to individuals who have taken advantage of it. What it is, when somebody purchases our video analysis program, it allows that individual 8 times a year to send videotape of his or her golf swing into me. And before they do it each time, they call me. I tell them what I want done on each particular videotape. I tell them what angles I want done. We build a little library of each individual. When I get a second or third videotape in, I'll review the first 1 or 2, let that individual know what they're progressing in. But every time I get a videotape in, I will analyze your swing for you. I'll give you a call back. I'll give you some of my personal feedback of what I think you need to work on, any problems that I saw. I'll give you some suggestions of what you can do either on or off the machine to help combat or correct those problems. So if you feel you're having some problems still, you want to take advantage of our video analysis program, please give us a call. It's a way for us to get some insight on your golf swing, because as I said earlier, everybody has their own swing, and the key is to make your swing consistent. And that's what this machine is going to do. It's going to make your swing consistent. And that's the whole key to playing better golf. So if you feel you're still having some problems, you can't get it straightened out, give us a call. We'd be glad to help you out. Take a look at some videotape, analyze it, get back with you, give you some feedback, and help you out a bunch that way also. It's been very beneficial to most people who have taken advantage of it. And we get a few laughs from some of the ones that we see sometimes, but don't be embarrassed. As you know, everybody's got to start somewhere, and it's our job to help you folks become better golfers. So whether you're a beginning golfer just learning, which can really be beneficial to the video program, we can make sure your stance is proper, your grip is correct, give you some inside tips. There's a lot of things that we know what to do with this machine that aren't naturally going to be shown today just due to length of time of the training videotape, but there's a lot of little secrets that we know either on or off the machine. It's like getting a lesson through videotape. So if you folks feel you want a little more input, you'd like to get your swing analyzed, you can take advantage of it 8 times a year, please feel free to call us. We'd be glad to help you out that way also.